All right, you're good to go.
All right. Well, welcome to the interview. I see you've applied for the first officer position with SkyWest. To start this interview off, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Jace. I was born in Idaho, but I grew up a good amount of time here in Utah, kind of lived all over the place. Like to be active, be outdoors, and just, I don't know, be doing things. I can't sit inside for too long, so that's why like the pilot lifestyle kind of called out to me a little bit. But yeah.
Nice. Where about in Idaho did you grow up? Or live for
Um,
a little bit, I guess.
yeah, so I was born in Rexburg, it's like Eastern Idaho,
Okay.
and I just
Gotcha.
kind
Very
of
cool.
moved around to a few cities around there.
Nice. Awesome. All right. To start things off, tell me about schooling, education, what kind of schooling you have.
Yeah, so I went to school at UVU, got a bachelor's in aviation, as well as all my certificates and everything, licenses to fly. So a lot of my schooling has been very focused on aviation, weather, air traffic control, just kind of everything regarding aviation, and that's been the majority of the focus of my schooling.
Awesome. Nice. Um, Sticking on the college topic, what do you think college has done to prepare you for a job with the airlines?
Yeah, I think biggest thing that college did for me was just discipline. Like there's obviously the information and things that you need to know as a pilot, but I feel like the discipline of having a task that you need to complete, even if maybe you don't want to, or if it's something that seems daunting, just being able to get through that barrier and actually do it, is huge. And I think that absolutely helps me prepare for a career as a pilot because, as we know, like the learning never stops. So it really just got me into good habits for that.
Nice. I like that. What'd you do before flight stuff, before going to school for aviation? If was that just like a little job here and there, or were you pursuing a different career field and had to change, or how'd that go?
Yeah, so I was actually looking into business, like the finance world. Um, so that was my first major in the first year actually I was going to classes for that. And I just it didn't click for me. I wasn't having the time that I thought I would doing it as much as I thought I was going to enjoy it. It just I don't know, it just didn't really work out. And I was like, okay, I gotta expand my options, maybe look into something else. And I'd never really entertained the idea of being a pilot, although I thought about it a little bit. It was never something I took seriously. And so I went and did a discovery flight and it really clicked for me. And I was like, okay, this is something I absolutely imagine myself doing. So I got a little more into it, took some classes, and here I am now with a degree, just looking for a job.
Nice. I dig it. I dig it. So, based off of what you do know about the industry, I mean, I know you haven't worked for airlines before, but based on what you do know, what do you like? Like, what are your favorite parts about the the industry of aviation as a whole?
One of my favorite parts about it is that it seems like everyone in aviation is very passionate about it. And you can just feel that. Like just even in my schooling, finance school versus aviation flight school just felt totally different because the kids there for finance, it felt like they just had to get a slip of paper, get through it as fast as possible. Whereas aviation, people were passionate about it. People really wanted to do it. And you can just feel that in the industry, regardless if it's pilots, air traffic control, just any of the jobs in the industry. You just feel the passion behind it. And I feel like that makes a huge difference. And that's what
Like,
differentiates aviation from other industries.
yeah, I get what you mean with that. It's a good point. Moving on, what do you know about SkyWest as a company? Just as a overall company,
Yeah,
if anything.
so
If you don't, that's okay. But
no, it's all good. So I know SkyWest started in St. George, I believe, so it's like a local company. At least it started off to be local and kind of grew. And as someone from Utah who's lived here for a long time, I thought it would be cool to work for a company that started small here locally and then grew bigger. And I kind of liked I liked that legacy that they created and what they represent, and I wanted to be a part of it. So that's what drew me to
nice,
this job.
nice. I like that. All right, inevitable interview question. What is your biggest weakness?
Biggest weakness. Um, I would say that I get super hyper fixated on the task at hand. I'll have a task, I'll have something that I need to do, and I'll just go way too far into it to the point where I might be forgetting other things or maybe not balancing my life or other stuff I need to do like I probably should, because I get so hyper fixated on what I have to do. So that's definitely something I have to work on is being able to balance out the task at hand, while still being able to work hard and complete, what I need to.
Nice. Yeah. It's a good way to make sure you get things done though. So that's good. What is an experience in which you learned from one of your mistakes?
Um, So I remember a few years ago, I worked at a car detailer. We detail cars and clean them. And I remember an instance that we had a customer that was pretty upset. I don't remember exactly what it was about, but it had something to do with the product that we were using to clean the car. They didn't agree with the chemical, something along those lines. And it started to get pretty heated. Like the customer started to get very angry. And the way that I handled it was just by handing it off to my manager and just kind of walking away, wiping my hands. But looking back onto it, my manager was the same age I was. He had pretty much the same
Hmm.
amount of experience. And it was something that I would have been completely capable of fixing, but I just kind of handed off the issue. Um, so I feel like the biggest lesson I learned from that is, first of all, I kind of kicked myself in the butt for handing it off, even though I knew I was perfectly capable of doing it. So it kind of taught me to take a little bit more of responsibility when it comes to issues, even if it's something I don't want to address, even if, handing off to a manager is a decent excuse, not giving myself those excuses in the first place and actually just dealing with it. So that was probably one of the bigger lessons I've learned in terms of like my working career.
Yeah, no, I get that. I've been in the same situation. I used to work at Verizon and working in with phones and people's phones happens all the time where they
I
don't like
imagine.
this one thing. And so the things get heated quite often. And that was a big thing was just pass it off to your manager, supervisor for the day. Just let me get my manager for you. Um, but you do get to the point where it's like you kind of start to feel it out a little bit and okay, I can take this one, or I know this one's headed in the wrong direction. I'm gonna just revert to my manager. So I get both sides of that. That's good though. That's a good one to learn from. Moving on. Um, do you prefer to work by yourself or with others, like as a team?
I like both. It just depends on the task at hand and what we have to do. Working with others can give you like really valuable insight, stuff that maybe you wouldn't have thought of or been able to do. For example, if you're building a new aircraft, no one's going to be able to do that by themselves. It takes a lot of minds to be able to complete such a big task. Um, but there's also certain things that I do enjoy doing by myself when it comes to work. I like kind of putting my head down and not feeling like I'm being held back by different work ethics. So it really just depends, but for the most part, I don't really have an issue with either one, working by myself or with others. I can see the benefit of both.
Nice. That's good. That's always good to be able to work in both situations. What is your biggest motivator?
Biggest motivator. This isn't going to surprise you, but it's probably family. Just making sure that I'm able to provide for family, and give them a good life. It's just, I don't know, maybe just something within, I would hope almost everyone as a motivation, just to be able to help others out, as well as just proving to myself that I'm capable of doing hard things, which I've done. And I know that I would be a great asset to the team because I know I can do hard things, but just continually pushing my limits. And that's a big motivator for me.
Nice. I like that. How do you personally feel about overtime work?
Yeah, I mean, overtime's overtime. Lots of people have to do it, especially at the beginning of the career. As pilots, you have to get your hours. So for me, it's a sacrifice that I'm completely willing to take, especially here at the start of my career. I need as many hours as possible, so it's not something I'd necessarily complain about.
There you go. It's a good way to look at it. How do you handle stress or pressure in the workplace and on the job, that kind of a thing?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Um, I think one of the best ways to handle stress is just to understand what is the main reason I'm being stressed out and just to kind of be self-aware of that because stress can obviously be healthy in certain instances and help motivate you to progress and be productive, but other times it can inhibit you from doing things. So I think just for me, being able to look inward and understand why I'm feeling stressed uh, is the biggest way I'm able to kind of balance it out and keep it from stopping me to do anything that I should be doing.
I like that the balance because it can be beneficial, but it can also slow you down sometimes. So it's all about the balance. That's good. Okay, last question. Why should we hire you?
Absolutely. Well, I think a lot of people would answer like this, but for myself, I have proven to myself and to others that I'm capable of hard work and that I would be a really strong asset to the team. Um, I know that regardless if times get hard in the company, if there's obviously always issues that come up, that I would be able to mitigate those issues and work through them and be able to represent the company in a way that they would want. And that I would never be an employee that would hold the company back. And as they continue to grow, that I'd be someone to grow with the company and to help them in that process.
Nice. I like it. Um, as you mentioned, growing as a company is always a good thing, and growing with a company as a person is always an amazing thing to do too. So, well, I like it. I like you a lot. I will. You should expect a call from somebody within the next couple of days. I'm going to pass on my thoughts up the chain, and hopefully you continue on with the interviews, and hopefully I'll see you soon someday. So,
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it.
thanks for coming.
Yep,
Yep.
thank you.
All right. Breakdown time. How do you think that went?
Good. I mean, this is obviously our second time doing it, but
Yeah.
I think I think it went pretty well. There's still some stutters and things that I had. I feel like I said obviously a lot, which can be not the best word to use. So
Yeah.
little tweaks and stuff with my vocabulary, I think could have helped.
I mean, I think it's like you said, second time, so a little different, but I think it was smoother than yesterday. I think yesterday we were saying filler words were a big thing for you and me, but I think that was smoother than yesterday. I think I don't think you used obviously too much, or maybe I just didn't notice it, but I
Good.
thought you did
Good
good.
then.
I thought it was great, dude.
Awesome.
So no complaints from my side.
Perfect. Well, thank you, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, we'll move over to your interview. So
Alrighty.
we'll just get that started. Awesome. So you're here interviewing for the first officer here at Sky West. So just to get this started, tell me a little about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Benjamin. I grew up in Southern California. I've been living here almost 10 years now here in Utah. I love to travel, which is a good thing. Um, lots of mostly on the west side of the country is where I've been. I love mountains, doing anything outdoors, off-roading, mountain biking, hiking, um, gym. The gym is a big hobby of mine too, so that's fun. I'm married, just hit 1 year of being married with my wife, so that's exciting. Um, but yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the 1 year. Sounds like you're
Thank you, thank you.
pretty active, out and about all the time. That's something we
Try
like
to
to
be.
see. That's awesome. So, to get to this point, I assume you had to go through college. Tell me a little bit about your education that brought you here.
Yeah, so I got a bachelor's degree in aviation from Utah Valley University. Um, 4 year degree. I went through it a little fast. I took summers, and so I got done in about 2.5 years. Um, but yeah, it was a great program. Got me through all my ratings and certificates, and got me a degree in the end. So that's a huge bonus of that. Um, yeah.
Awesome. So, why did you specifically choose to go to UVU and get a degree in aviation over any other thing?
So I did some exploring before I settled on aviation, but it was always kind of just sitting there glaring at me like, you want to, you should just do it. So I went and started going. I wanted to be a flight medic for a little bit. And of course, the flying aspect of that was really cool to me. Didn't quite work out, so I changed gears. I've always been a huge car enthusiast, so I worked for a buddy. He's got a shop that does vinyl wrap and window tint and that stuff. So I got certified for that. Did that for a little bit, and then it was kind of a life decision of I can either keep doing this or I can do something that will really set me up for success and I can really further my life and kind of that aspect of things with. And so I started flying and never looked back. Best decision I've made in a very long time. Wouldn't trade it for anything. So
Love it.
yeah.
Sounds like you're passionate about it.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. That's what I like to hear. So, let's see here. How do you feel like specifically your education has prepared you for becoming a first officer for our company?
Yeah, so a big thing that school has done is, in just in general, is um, just having deadlines to meet and being able to work through those hard times where you've got a million things going on, but you just have to dial in on this one project to get this one project done, and then you move to your next project and your next project, and there's a million other things going on besides your school, but you've got to get that done. It's just really ingrained in me that you can work through anything. It's just one step at a time. Focus on the little things and work one step at a time, and you'll get through all of it. It's just a matter of time. So that's been a huge help to me in getting through school, and will continue to be a help to me while going through further training, getting trained for different aircraft, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, awesome. So, I assume as you've been going through school and working, you've had many different experiences and you've learned a lot about yourself. Um, with everything you've learned about yourself up to this point, what do you feel like your biggest weakness is?
Biggest weakness is sometimes I don't like to let things be done, if that makes sense. I want things to be just a certain way, and it needs to be done to up to a specific standard. And sometimes that standard can be just the right amount, or sometimes that can be very far beyond what actually needs done. So a good example of that is just like with presentations, right? Most of the time, it's based off of how you personally do and not necessarily the content that's on the slides. But for presentations, I like to have my slides a very specific way, and in which case they might not need to be as detailed or look as nice or have the graphics that they have, but that's the way I like to do them. And so sometimes I find myself spending a little bit too much time on those kind of things. Um, but all said and done, it hasn't bit me in the butt yet, so I think I'm doing all right there.
There we go. There we go. Awesome. So just moving along, another pretty classic interview question, but what motivates you? Why, why do you want to pursue a job in the airline industry? It's obviously not something that's easy. It's not something you can just float by on. So what's motivated you to do something so hard?
Yeah, so a couple things that I've learned over the past handful of years are one, I do not like desk jobs that are 9 to 5. That's a big one. They drive me a little nuts sometimes. And I understand some people that is their thing. They love it, but not my thing. So that was a big factor. And then the other thing is, I really enjoy traveling and doing things that aren't on a computer or just in an office setting, so to speak. I like doing things with my hands and working on things and moving things and that kind of thing. So when it comes to flying, I'm actively flying an aircraft or coming in for a landing or being able to chat with a co-pilot or talk with passengers, flight attendants, talking to people is another big thing that I enjoy. And so that all has a big draw to aviation as a whole for me.
That's awesome. It sounds like it matches your very active lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's perfect. All right. So in our company, we pride ourselves on being able to work efficiently and well together as employees. So With you, have you ever felt like you've had any difficulty or problems getting along with any colleagues or supervisors or instructors or maybe other students in your past?
Personally, I try to do my best to just be a friend to everybody. There's been a lot of situations where there will be maybe one group of two or three people that don't quite click with everybody else. And I kind of make a point to myself to be friends with them and the other group so that way there's no biases, there's no, oh, I'm better friends with them, so I'm not going to talk to other people. I I'm going to be around them a lot. These are coworkers. These are people that I spend a lot of time with. Um, so it's beneficial to me to be as good of a friend to them as I possibly can. So personally, no. There's definitely situations where I could see um, being able to do better, but there's always room for improvement, right? So that's something that I personally work on a lot is trying to just be that friend to everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's exactly what our company stands for, and that's what we'd like to see in all of our employees. So that's awesome. Um,
Nice.
so as you're working with people and as you're working with supervisors, you're going to have certain tasks that you have to do. And some of the time you might see something as having maybe like an unrealistic deadline or something that you're not able to complete. If that does happen and you feel like you're not capable or that a deadline is unrealistic or anything like that, how might you respond to a supervisor?
First and foremost, try. Like, just give it a shot, give it my best go. Um, but the next best thing, and along this whole process of trying, communicate. If I'm not communicating effectively with a supervisor, with someone who's given me a task, if I'm not communicating with them effectively and they don't know that, hey, I'm not going to be done with this on time, then when the deadline comes and I'm not done or I'm behind or it's short, that's kind of a shock to the system. But if I'm communicating the whole time, keeping them in the loop, making sure they know exactly where I'm at, then they're right there the whole way with me. They know exactly what to expect. They know I'm not just blowing it off. I'm staying on top of it, but I can't get it done quite in time. And that's a big thing with extensions and just being on top of it. Don't let it slip by. Make sure you are giving it your best go and communicate with everybody involved to make sure you're all on the same page.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a answer I haven't really heard frequently is just to actually try. Usually they'll come up with some reason on why they couldn't talk about like just only talk about the clear communication aspect, but I like how you said to try first, because there's
Yeah.
obviously a reason that they gave you the task.
And
So
that's something that's been super beneficial from school is like when you look at your assignments for a semester, it might seem unrealistic for how much you have, but once you break it down, and like I was saying before, those baby steps, you just start eating away at it little by little. You can get a lot more done than you think you can. So if you're trying and you're eating away at it little by little, you'd be surprised what you can get done in a short amount of time. So
beautiful. So in this job, you're obviously going to have to do quite a bit of hard work, and there's going to be some times that you're going to be asked to work overtime. So how do you feel about working overtime in a company?
personally, overtime's great. I know a lot of people would argue one way or another with either, oh yeah, I like the hours, or I don't want to be away from home. But my wife's actually a nurse, and in healthcare, if you don't have a nurse or you're short a couple of nurses, that might be someone's loved one that's not being taken care of, not getting medication they need, not getting a shower that they need, or whatever it might be. So to kind of translate that into aviation, if I skip a flight or I um, don't pick something up, that might be someone not getting across the country to get to their son's fifth birthday or something, right? Or to get home for a meeting or to go on vacation or to visit a loved one that might be passing away. And so for me, that kind of brings a whole aspect into it of I'm choosing aviation as a career path and I'm choosing to fly planes and transporting um, people and passengers and getting them to their next destination. And so when it comes to overtime, if overtime is needed, I'm all for it because that means I can help more people get to where they're trying to go.
That's cool. I like that perspective of helping others and how how much more broad that perspective is. It's not thinking in words, it's thinking about all the people that you're going to help as a pilot. Because as pilots, we always
Yeah,
see a lot of people, like you said, weddings, anything that they have to do, we're responsible for getting them there. And I think understanding that is very important.
for
So
sure.
just to wrap this up, the very final classic interview question, why should we hire you? You're going to come in with the same credentials as a few other people. So what differentiates you from anyone else?
I think a big thing is I mean, as do they, but we all have different kind of life experiences. We all have different backgrounds that we come from. But I think personally, I kind of stand out a little bit in the aspect of where I'm coming from with um, not necessarily having a traditional job, not liking that aspect of it. I want to be there to help people rather than to fly a plane or to um, just clock in, clock out. I'm there to help people, and that's a big thing for me is the helping aspect. Now, I am choosing it because I love flying, but a big portion of that is so that I can help people, and it's not necessarily a conventional way of helping people, but it is a big part of it for me, and I think that kind of helps set me apart a little bit.
Absolutely. I love it. Okay. Well, we'll get back to you on this. We will probably be pushing you further on in the interview process. So we'll shoot you a call within the next few days and let you know how this went. But as of right
Awesome.
now, I'm loving it.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Okay. Bye-bye. Awesome. Okay. Well, what do you think about it? How'd you do?
Similar to yesterday, a lot of filler words, like we talked about. Maybe a little bit less because I kind of knew more what was coming. Um, but yeah, a little too many filler words. May have shot myself in the foot a little bit here and there, but overall not too bad.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think so. I was looking for filler words and stuff. I couldn't really find too many. Nothing like out of the ordinary. You obviously don't want to sound like Siri or a robot or something.
Right,
So
right.
I think it made you sound human. I also liked, you did this last time as well. You just have like a very infectious like smile and you're very positive. And
I
that
try, dude.
it helps. It helps a lot.
Yeah,
It sometimes it really helps relieve the nerves and just makes an interview sound a lot less like an interview and more just like a good conversation to get to know a person. So that's one thing I really like about how you handle these interviews. And I think if you were to take it into a real one, it'd really make you look good. So yeah,
awesome. I'm glad you picked that up because that's like one of my biggest things I hate about like Zoom calls and like video chat meetings is like body language. You don't get nearly as much body language through a video call.
no.
Um, and I've had a couple of interviews in the past for jobs I've gotten, thankfully. But they start out with a video call, and I end up ending the call, and I'm like, dang, tanked that. And then I get a call back, and I'm like, okay, maybe I didn't tank it. And then I go in, and they're like, oh, I'm so glad we did this in person this time. Like, so much better than the video interview. Um, so I'm glad you brought that up because that's one thing that it's like I hate the video chat because of that, but I'm glad that still came across. So
Yeah, no, it's huge to convey your emotions through your face rather than like your hands and stuff. So that's big. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
perfect. So I'll just stop the video right here then.